Professor Zrina. Today we present about traffic management intelligent traffic system by Sefi Dehman, Zina Fakhati, Muhammad Salehi, Ali Pasanpur. The structure of blockchain proposed for facilitated message transfer between SM with SM cannot concept. Secondly, use dynamic key transfer in battery keying algorithm for reducing the key generation and exchange time. Time consumption. The time consumption result of the Philippines key management is compared with that in the traditional network structure, since blockchain concept prove that help to shorten the key transfer time. Use of SM network instead of third-party authorities role in the SM network was used to transfer and verify behavior key in the across border requirement rather than forwarding them to the third-party authorities. Transmit safety message at regular intervals. Vehicles travel on a road and periodically transmit safety message using the transmitter in the OBU, which are collected by infrastructure that are built along the road at regular intervals. They wanted to transport keys by mining blocks so that blockchain can be maintained for heterogeneous key management purpose, at least within the local SM domain. As a result, the keys are rejoined numbers is delivered by retrieving the information from the block. The essence relationship advantages. The handshake steps are reduced in essence are located in the same security domain. All vehicle adoption, either permanent or temporary certificate to perform joint handshake work. New vehicles must apply for the temporary certificate that can transfer an initial registration message IRM for self-registration and initial participation in ITS environment. Whenever a vehicle changes to another RSU's section under the same security area, the permanent certificate will be used. So SM and RSUs require collecting vehicles entrance and departure information via BSMs or IRMs to obtain batch key. Would you please, Mohammed, next?
Thank you, Mr. Vida. As far as my friend talked about our work, I will continue that with the limitation that we could find in this work. If I want to briefly explain it, in this work they have two objectives. In the first, they use limit probability to reduce the battery keying cost and employing blockchain technology to decline the key transmission time in handshake procedure. Okay. In the next slide that I bring, it's related to the blockchain scheme that they use. In the first in the figure of the B, as far as you can see, it's related if our SN will be in the different domain security. And you can see the blockchain structure will be work pretty good. And the time transmission key, it is less than the two another approach, that is the traditional structure and eventual scheme. And if you look to the figure A, you can see the blockchain structure works really good until the less than 1,500. And if it is reached, if it is past the 1,500, our traditional structure have a less time key transmission, and we think it should be solved. And in this part, that is related to living probability that we assume. As you can see in this graph, in the blue line, that is a procedure that they don't have a block, they didn't consider the living probability. In the blue line and the red line, that they consider the living probability until 100 number of the batch interval, they have overlap with each other. And the living probability didn't work until 100 batch intervals, because we should have some car that wants to pass our border, and with that the algorithm consider that this amount of the car will be past the border, so it will be decline the number of the key that is generated, and the cost of the rekeying, it will decline. But they didn't consider that the efficient number of the vehicle that we could driven in our domain. And also, they didn't study capability of the road, which may cause a congestion in the road. Okay. And our contribution added a new feature to the living probability that bring all of the limitation that the previous work had. Because of this, we will consider the number of the car that could exist in our domain to be in the optimum form. And also we will consider the traverse distance should be same in the whole of our progress. It means all of the car in the domain should pass same distance. And for this, we will use the average size of the cars in our work. We implemented, I think, this is 4.8 meter, and the distance depend on the speed of the cars could be changed from the 2 meter until the 10 meter. In the next slide, we will bring a graph that it shows a schema of the how the algorithm is working. As you can see, this is a central authority. It has a 2 SM, SMA, SMB, and we just bring for SMA. It can pass it also to the SMB. SMA has a 2 RSU, RSU-A, RSU-2, RSU-A1, RSU-A2. That the distance of the 2 RSA, it is a 500 meter. And our way has a 2 way. It means some of the cars going to the right, some of the cars going to the left. And the size of the car, as before mentioned, I mentioned that this is a 4.8 meter, and the distance of the car could be changed depending on the speed to the 2 to 10 meter. That's it. My friend Ali will explain how we coding that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you for your explanation. The next, one of the important part would be the implementation of what we talk about currently. For our proposed motto, we name it traffic management, as other friend mentioned. I divide it to the three main files. The vehicle file is considering about what are the specification of the one vehicle, and I wrote one class that I will show you in a code, and how these vehicles are going to run. and other data I will show in the code. I stored these data, I call it data manipulation, and traffic management. I show you in a code how I put some algorithm to manage the avoiding traffic jam. In SM file, one of the most important SM should do is making the key. So using the key generation, I use the AES. And also another important rule of the SM is assigning the key. I show you in all of the code. And analysis, I examine my whole of the data and get a result which show that our traffic management method show better impact on the traffic. So let's go to the code. This is the vehicle file. As you can see, I declare one of the classes by the name of car. These classes have some feature. For example, number means number of the car as passing through. The med is mediation. I will explain it later. The constructor of the class, I'm using the Python 3.6, I forgot to mention. And the constructor of this class is giving some initialization variable to this. For speed, I set 0.1 for initial speed. The time, all of the cars starting from the 0 time. These are just variable, I will explain it. And what about x0? It means that some of the vehicle maybe won't start at the first point. For example, one car stop at the middle of the SM. So as far as we don't know when the car is starting, we just put a random number from the 0 to 100 for managing these distance of the car from the 0 point. One of the function which is mostly important to our code is run function. It only get one variable by the acceleration. I put it in a while because it's going to be a loop, do it over and over, but it has a break. I explained it here. For a distance, I use the simple physics formula for explaining the distance. Simple one. Half of the acceleration times to times to the time plus the speed times plus the starting point. Simple physics formula which Facebook and I use this. We analyze the time of the algorithm in a 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds, the whole of the while will stop. And put it all of the data in a data list. Get number is a simple function for retrieving how many cars now currently in a how many cars in the network. Plot, I use matplot for plotting the data as far as this is simulation, so we need the plotting data. So easily I pass this list to the plot and declaration for a label. Full data, passing all of the car data in this network, and the median is one of the important parts as far as we propose a new solution. We need to get a result if our solution is good or not. So median means to find the middle of all of the data. I will explain later. So here is what our function, what is our traffic management do. I deploy 10 cars in a 4, every time make one object. In this one, I put acceleration in a random number between -10 to 10. What does it mean, -10? Do we have any minus acceleration? Yes. We consider that this is a two-side road. So one side is a positive, another side is a negative. This is our algorithm for managing the traffic. Whenever the one quarter of the car enter the system, it means that there is a little impact on the conjunction of the traffic flow. So I change literally 0.1 to the multiple to acceleration for if the car is speeding going up, speeding slowly, little. If going down, little give speed to this. This goes to 3/4 of the 3/4 of the network, and when it is 3/4 of the network, it means that the network is now saturated. There is a lot of cars, so I try to let other cars to pass it away. The network trying to be free. When it comes to the 90% of the network, the rate of the traffic now, traffic accident and the safety compromise is really high. So I try to still decreasing the acceleration of the car. By this I can managing the traffic jam. The rest is just for plotting. So for implementation, as far as you can see, most of the car ended to this amount of the distance they went. Still, some cars have a not a normal reaction, but most of the car try in a 10 seconds. They pass about 100 meters in our domain, which show that the car. We can predict what is the next movement of the car or how many cars they are currently passing. We try to fit in our algorithm, this car to fit in algorithm to pass a specific amount in a 10 seconds. So what about SM? SM also is one of the important part of this. SM using AES algorithm, AES encryption. I propose a class for SM, same as a vehicle, it has a number of SM, number of the car is using here. SM has two important functions. The first one, as far as we're using AES algorithm needs a 16-bit for a key generation. So I put 2 times random generation for making the key. First time is making by random function. The second one, at once they are going to make a key, I put it another one again. And the key is made here, and this function returning the encoded data. For visualization, I use text table. I implement 10 car here. And the result will be like this. Car key. Car 1 this key. Car 2 this key. Car 3 this key. Each car has its own key for cryptography material. So I ran this data for 100 times. I get a different result. So if I want to prove myself, I measure this data by analysis function I wrote. Analysis is so simple function. As far as you remember, I use mediation. I mediate the last position of each car, I sum it up and divide it to number of the test case I used. So I get this following result. As far as there is a lot of data, it takes a little time for showing the analysis, but it will show. Here I use Seaborn graph. Seaborn. As well as Matplotlib, but Seaborn is a much featured graph here. I'm sorry for waiting because this graph is going to analyze a lot of data. little take a time. Yes, graph is shown. This is our graph. It say that if about 50 meters out of the car pass during the 10 seconds, everything is safe. The safety is not compromised. Also, these number belonging to our past variable. For example, we specify the acceleration from -10 to 10. We give it default velocity. Every time it change, but anything can be changed. But the number default is here, 57 for our model. So that's all for coding. And Muhammad and Zainab is going to conclude what we talked about.
Hello, teacher. Good evening. The last part is our conclusion. In this article, we will discuss about the intelligent transportation system. Intelligent or ITS is a trend of IR 4.0. Intelligent transportation system can provide more facility for transporting and transporting for their safety, and also it can have some crucial issue on its structure. I mean about the centralized architecture and also security and efficiency of key management. So we propose a blockchain to start this solution, and this blockchain use of distributed future and also immune blockchain future. And for the key management to start this solution, we propose some approach that they can get less time to transport this key between the central management, and also we propose implementing of living probability to reduce batch decaying time. And also in our article we discussed about the batch decaying, tricky and also batch decaying, and about group key management, and this